Good morning. Special Thursday edition today, Doug.
Yep, a day early.
We're still grinding out some finals up here, and you just got to get it done. We got the time. Today we have a birthday.
Yeah,
we have a birthday. Former Blazer, great, I will say. Nicolas Batum. Current Charlotte Hornet went over there in a trade for Gerald Henderson and Noah Vonleh, which I wish they would have kept. Blazers would have kept Gerald Henderson.
Or Nick Batum.
Or Nick Batum, yeah. 29 years old. Why didn't they keep Batum? What the hell?
Yeah, you look back at that trade, it's kind of weird.
Yeah,
because they didn't get a pick.
And they didn't keep Gerald Henderson more than 1 year.
But Nick Batum did sign a massive contract with Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
So I bet you Neil realized that he was going to sign for $20 million a year somewhere else.
But I don't get me wrong, like it was a good idea by Neil, but like I don't know, I guess why didn't you wait till the trade deadline possibly? Because that was before the season even started.
Yeah.
Why didn't you wait?
And even if you didn't trade him, wouldn't you rather have Nick Batum than Evan Turner?
Yeah, for the same amount of money, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'd rather have Nick Batum than Mo Harkless too.
Yeah, I mean Mo Harkless last year was better than this year, but.
Oh, he's only seeing like 8 or 9 minutes a game.
Well, yeah, he's injured. He's having some injuries.
He was out, but I mean, still he got benched.
Yeah.
He was starting, and then he got benched. But anyway, Nick Batum, 29 years old. We miss him in Portland, man.
We do. Sure. And he's doing okay in Charlotte.
Yeah. Injuries. He had his dislocated wrist or broken wrist at the beginning of this year.
And the thing with that team is, like, you have Kemba Walker, Nick Batum, and Dwight Howard. You're not going to win.
Mm-mm.
No. It's not going to happen.
And then, I mean, Jeremy Lamb's having a good year, but he's just not good.
That team's not going to go through the East.
No, they're going to get. I mean, they'll compete. They're a competitive team, but in the games that I've seen, it's Kemba. It's Kemba ball, which it should be because he's a great player, but there's just nobody else around him.
I don't think Kemba can be the best player on the team for them to be good. See,
I think if he was in Russell Westbrook's situation, I think it'd be better for whoever has both of them, or all three of them, I should say, for that team. If the Hornets had Paul George and Melo, or if the Thunder had Paul George, Melo, and
he'd
Kemba
work better
Walker,
with a superstar. Yeah, all right.
I think he's better with a superstar than being the superstar
the
or
superstar.
The star. He's not a superstar, but the star.
Yeah, I know. I got you though. Oh yeah. Let's hear your favorite Nick Batum moment as a Blazer.
Well, I think I speak for both you and I when I say this. It was, I want to say 2011-ish. And
that sounds about right.
Game-winning alley-oop. Yeah, it was a game-winning alley-oop against San Antonio from Andre Miller on a side-out with 0.9 on the clock, coincidentally. And Andre just lofted it right up there. Nick Batum went up, 2 hands, and right in the bucket. Blazers beat the Spurs, and he had a lot of good moments, but that was probably my favorite because it was against the Spurs.
Yeah.
And the Spurs, that was peak Spurs,
It was, and we never actually, those games with Nick Batum and that core of Wes Matthews, Nick Batum, Marcus Aldridge, and then early stages of Dame, those Spurs games were always close. We always lost.
Seemed like it, yeah.
Always lost usually, but they were actually, we always played well against them.
Yeah, well, it was right at the end of the primes of Duncan, Parker, Ginobili, those three guys, and that was even before they got Kawhi Leonard, and they were still win it to the playoffs, winning 55 games every year.
And I love how you bring in Andre Miller because he was such a good passer.
He was I think to Portland fans, I think his career is kind of underrated because like a lot of people just forget about Dre.
Is he still playing?
Little hip hop reference right there. But I do. I think people forget about Dre. He was a great player. I mean, he's dropped like 51 points or something in a game, I think against Denver, was it? Him and that starting five of Andre Miller, Brandon Roy, Nick Batum, LaMarcus Aldridge, and Marcus Camby, I think one year was just filthy.
It was pretty nice. It was pretty nice.
That was one of one of my favorite times to watch Blazers basketball was when those guys were playing. So that was good. That was a good topic. So to our next topic, we're going to talk about the Heisman winner this year, dude by the name of Baker Mayfield. Beat out Lamar Jackson and Bryce Love from Stanford, Lamar Jackson from Louisville, the Heisman winner last year. So Baker Mayfield had some antics this year, Doug. Grabbing his crotch and basically saying F you to every single team he played, sticking the Oklahoma flag in the middle of the Ohio State field when they beat him. I think we might have some difference of opinion in this case. So let me hear what you have to think. What you have to say. What you have to think about Baker Mayfield.
Well, I think he's a great player to have on your team, but I mean, when the Kansas player didn't shake his hand, that was like you knew something was going to happen. So it's like, okay, you're asking for it, but he already demolished them on the field. He didn't necessarily need to grab his crotch on the sideline. So like, I get it because he was getting in the heat of the moment, but like, if you're going to be a leader and if you're going to be a quarterback in the NFL, you can't necessarily do that. You don't see any NFL quarterbacks doing that. But I always remember that these guys
get fined for it.
They get fined for it. I always remember these guys are 20, 22 years old. I don't know how old Baker Mayfield is, but
18 to 22 years old.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're our age, so it's not, they're not.
I do the same thing in pickup basketball at the rec,
Yeah. I think the flag thing was another just heat of the moment thing. He came out and apologized for it, so.
Yeah. Which I love the flag moment. Mm-hmm. I loved that. I don't think he needed to apologize for it. I think, all in all, like, big picture, I think it's a good thing that he apologized for it, but I don't think that's something that he needed really to apologize for because, like, he just beat Ohio State at Ohio State.
Yeah.
Sure, he could have done it, maybe in an end zone or something, but he did it on the middle of the field, and I think, for one, I think that's hilarious because I can't stand Ohio State.
That's fair. Yeah.
I think Ohio State had it coming. I mean, they're always, Urban Meyer's a great coach, but they just always have, they always have the best guys from their area. I loved it. I mean, that's an opinion. But in terms of the junk grab, that was a different story for me. Initially when I first saw it, I was like, dang, that dude's, wow. But then the more I thought about it, the more I was like, if I'm going to play with somebody, I'm going to want to play with somebody who has the most an intense passion to win. Mm-hmm. And that is Baker Mayfield for me.
Yeah.
That.
Well, I think the passion is good. I think it just has to be at a professional level, though.
Which that will come eventually.
It will, because I kind of relate him to like Phillip Rivers. Like Phillip Rivers to me is one of the most passionate quarterbacks in the NFL, and most aggressive, I guess.
Yeah.
But you don't see him doing that. So
no.
But no, his passion for the game is
you can't question it.
No.
You can't at all. But but why I think why he not so much that he has the right to do it, but I think he backs it up is because he has that trophy that's going to sit in his trophy case for the rest of his life.
Well, yeah, he's really talented.
Yeah, he has the stats. He has the wins. It'll be
interesting to see if it goes to the NFL, though.
That's exactly it. Because I'm looking at mock drafts for this next year, and there's he's going to be taken in the top. I'll finish up real quick. Is where he's going to be taken in the top 3, maybe even number 1 overall. But then there's others where he falls to the second round.
I mean, what do you think team would be would benefit from him?
The Browns.
Well, okay, yeah, but
the Browns, the Giants, the Jets even.
Yeah.
Even though they're kind of a playoff team now. Maybe not the 49ers since they got Garoppolo, but I think he should be a first top 15 pick.
I think he will be.
Lottery pick in the sense of NBA.
Yeah, I think he will be. I was thinking Bengals, Broncos.
Okay, that's not bad, yeah.
They need to get rid of Andy Dalton.
Even though Andy Dalton's a top 8 quarterback in the NFL. Psych. So, Baker Mayfield, man. We'll see. Moving on. We're going to hop over to the MLB, which we haven't talked about since the first few episodes of the year. But recently, Shohei Ohtani, the Japanese Babe Ruth, signed with the Angels of Anaheim. And it was kind of a carousel because he had met with like 8 or 10 teams, I want to say.
Something like that.
And he right after his meeting, this is the most interesting part for me, is right after his meeting with the Yankees, he turned him down right away.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I don't want to play for a big market team, and I don't want to play on the East Coast. Which I mean, makes sense, since he's from, halfway across the world, but at the same time, that's your fast track to the World Series.
Yeah, it's true. I kind of like it though. It's totally different than every other player in the world that wants to play for a big market team.
Yeah,
it's kind of cool to see a guy come over, and the big market guys don't have any chance.
But then he ends up in LA. That's the biggest market on the West. He says he doesn't want to be in a big market on the East Coast, so he comes to the biggest market on the West Coast.
Yeah, that was kind of weird, but
when he said he didn't want to be in a big market, that's when I expected him to sign with Seattle or with Oakland or with San Diego, sign with, I mean, not saying that Oakland is a big market, but the A's are terrible. And the Mariners are the smallest market on the West Coast. One of the smallest markets in the MLB.
Yeah, so I mean, the Angels must have just won him over.
Yeah, they must have wooed him. I mean,
playing in LA would be fun too.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. He gets to have crappy water, but he gets to play in LA. But now he's injured. He's got a UCL sprain that could require Tommy John surgery.
So if he had Tommy John, how long does that take him out?
He'll be out for this year at least, if not part of next year.
Really? That long?
Mm-hmm. But he'll probably come back throwing 105 instead of 100 miles an hour.
And
since they'll put like a horse ligament in his arm or something. Not true.
So did they did all the teams know about the injury?
From what I've heard or what I read, yeah, everybody knew that he had. I think the injury. I think they said his agent or he told them that there was something wrong with his arm, but they just didn't know what yet. I could be mixing facts here.
They probably didn't. Honestly, they probably didn't specify what it was so that he could sign first and then tell him.
Yeah, which is kind of snake move, but
it's smart.
Yeah,
smart business
genius.
Move.
Yeah, you never put what injuries you have on anything.
So when guys come back from that injury, are they about the same or a little worse?
Historically, they're the same, if not better, from Tommy John.
Really?
Yeah, because you are literally getting a brand new ligament in your arm. And depending on what doctor you have, if they sew it up right, you're gonna come back even better than you were. But that's just recently though. That's recently in like the last decade or so. But when Tommy John, the old pitcher, first had it, and guys in the 80s and 90s, they'd come back and they wouldn't be close.
Yeah.
It was like when you heard the words Tommy John, that usually meant your career's over or close to over.
But now it's almost a good thing.
Now it's like they're like, oh, Tommy John, yeah, sure, let's do it. I don't think Ohtani needs Tommy John on a sprain, but he might get it anyway. Just because people have been coming back stronger. But let's hop over to the Yankees real quick and talk about Giancarlo. Looks like we're going to go over our time a little bit today. So Giancarlo requests a trade,
right,
from the Marlins, and he says, "I don't want to be a Marlin anymore. And, might I add, Derek Jeter is now the owner of the Marlins as well. So he says he doesn't want to be a Marlin. They have a trade in place to send him to St. Louis or San Francisco. Giancarlo says, no, I don't want to go there anymore. And then Derek Jeter pulls a classic swindler's trick and sends him to his old team in New York for Starlin Castro and 2 prospects for 59 home runs and over 100 and something RBIs.
Yeah, is that a pretty bad trade?
I mean, they got two of the Yankees, top prospects. Obviously, like they're not going to say no. But I think it's Derek Jeter doing them a favor.
Derek Jeter doing the Yankees a favor.
Yeah, first and foremost, I think it's Derek Jeter doing them a favor. He's one of the greatest, if not the greatest Yankee of all time. And
he wanted to give the Yankees another young Derek Jeter.
It might be Giancarlo's 28, 29. So he's at the peak of his prime right now.
Yeah, it's true.
And he got Starlin Castro, who's an all-star, good player, but and then you got 2 prospects. But that's the thing with prospects is you'll get them, but they can never make it to the MLB.
Yeah.
You just don't know when you add prospects. You literally don't know. There are some guys where you say, okay, he's gonna be up with us, but then there are other guys where, it's like, okay, he's gonna sit in AA or he's gonna sit in AAA. Guys get hurt. You just never know. And I think it's a big win for the Yankees because they're gonna probably win 115 games this year.
Yeah, and they're gonna be the highlight of the league.
Yeah, I mean they have Stanton and Judge in their lineup back to back. 2-3 or 3-4, however they, maneuver the lineup. And they got a new manager in Aaron Boone. So, if I'm a Yankee fan, I'm stoked.
Was he a manager
now.
somewhere else?
No, he was a commentator on ESPN.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah,
that's right.
But he is a former Yankee, which was a big reason why they signed him to be their manager.
Gotcha. That name was familiar to me.
Yeah, his brother Brett played in Seattle for a handful of years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, second baseman, former steroid user. So, yeah, it's Derek Jeter doing the Yankees favor. So let's hop over to the NBA now. Boy, we're hitting all aspects today. Let's talk about a few events that transpired. What was that, Tuesday night? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, between Paul George and Pacer faithful. So, Paul George, obviously requests a trade, gets traded to Oklahoma City. And we've as Blazer fans, we've had experience with this, with guys, leaving uncalled for or in a odd manner, I guess you could call it, with LaMarcus Aldridge. So, Doug, do you think Paul George deserved to be booed Tuesday night, or was it completely? What was Indiana?
Yeah, he deserved to get booed because
right?
he requested a trade.
Okay.
So
yeah,
I mean, if he just got traded and he didn't know about it, no, he would get an applause, standing ovation.
Yeah.
But because he requested a trade and because he spent so many years there, yes, that's how it's going to go pretty much everywhere in the league.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? These weren't just boos either. These weren't just a few boo birds like you hear with Myers Leonard in Portland. These were boos.
It was like LaMarcus Aldridge the first time he played in Portland.
Yeah, it was. I think the Bankers Life Fieldhouse holds like 18,000 people, but it was 18,000 people, aside from maybe 100 or so Oklahoma City fans, just laying it on him.
Mm-hmm.
Laying it on him, and I loved it. I loved it. I love the booing, but I think Paul George had some great years in Indy. And did he deserve to get booed? Probably, but if I don't know. It's just hard for me to side with Paul George and saying that he shouldn't get booed just because we've had
we know what it feels like.
Yeah, we know what it's like to be stabbed in the back by your best player.
Yeah. And when that happens, we don't like LaMarcus Aldridge anymore.
No, he's a sissy.
Yeah,
that's
don't.
Putting it nicely.
Yeah, we don't.
He's soft.
Yeah.
And I mean, and that's the thing though, is if LaMarcus had never said, I want to be the next greatest player in Portland, I want to bring a championship to Portland, we wouldn't have a problem. if he would have left. I mean, obviously it would have been, kind of hard to accept, but I think eventually you would have gotten over it and he wouldn't have as many boos. But now, whenever he comes to Portland, every time. And it's the fact that he promised that to us as Blazer fans. And Paul George, he led them to the Eastern Conference Finals multiple times. Paul George almost beat LeBron.
Yeah, he really did.
Those rosters: George Hill, Lance Stevenson, Paul George.
That was the team to.
Roy
that
Hibbert.
was the team to go.
Yeah, David West, I think.
That was the team to go because now, after that, the team just went down, and they were never as good.
No, well, I mean, Paul George had his leg injury. Roy Hibbert fell off the face of the world.
Well, you know what? The Pacers didn't do a very good job of surrounding him with talent. Besides that 1 or 2 year stretch.
It's true. Yeah.
They didn't.
Well, and yeah, I'd have to look at their roster to see.
And then Larry Bird's gone.
That's
Frank
right.
Vogel's gone.
Oh, I love Frank Vogel.
Frank Vogel's awesome.
He's doing a great job in Orlando right now.
Yeah. So, I mean, when that happens, I don't blame him for requesting a trade, but you got to know what's going to happen when you request a trade.
Exactly. And then
he knew what was coming.
I hope he did. Well, and then did you see that the Pacers did like an introduction video of like Pacer grades before the game, and they did not include Paul George.
Yeah, that's going to come too.
I mean, that's so petty on the Pacers because
it is because he's one of the best players.
Quite honestly, Paul George, those are probably the best Pacer teams in history. Maybe outside.
Besides the Reggie Miller days.
I think they're better than even Reggie Miller days.
You think so? I
think Paul George is a better overall player than Reggie Miller. Reggie Miller could shoot it. Reggie Miller could get in people's faces, but Paul George played every single aspect of the game the right way, played it correctly, and he's the reason why the Pacers are even relevant in the NBA anymore.
Yeah, you're right. That's true.
That's our show. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to have to talk about this, but expect the holiday special coming up here right around Christmas time.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk a lot of college football playoff. Hopefully we can still get B-Val to come and do it with us.
Yeah, we got to talk to him, but for sure.
I know he's working at the PUD this winter break, as am I. I'm working, but maybe that'll be a weekend special or something like that. So,
yeah, hey,
anyways.
Quick shout out to the Chiefs-Chargers game Saturday night. Saturday night. Tune in. That's going to decide it right there. Yep, it is.
And by the way, our Twitter poll said Chargers. So
yeah,
overwhelmingly said Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
So that game's going to decide the AFC West. So
Bolt up.
Tune in for that. Bolts up. Alrighty, we'll see you next week.